Welcome to the Growing Your Business podcast. This is the show that dives into the big question, what's in it for me, for both the business and its customers? On each episode, we sit down with a business owner or leader to uncover their why, their values, and the stories that drive them to grow their business. This episode is sponsored by Russ Birch, commercial banker with Frost Bank in Plano, Texas. Joining me today on the Growing Your Business podcast is my new friend, Jill Wideman of NeuroLocker Corporation. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really excited about what you're building. And for our listeners and audience, this is a mother-daughter owned company. And so let's talk about what is it and what do you do? And we'll go back into how it was created.
Okay. So we are building an app and it's a productivity tool. So it's built specifically for the neurodivergent mind. So people that have autism, ADHD, learning disabilities like dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, these are different challenges that your brain works differently from the rest of the world. And it brings challenges into how you live your daily life. It impacts school, it impacts work, it impacts your relationships. And one of the things that we found is that school is really hard, and using the different tools to be organized and have strategies and stuff is really hard when you get distracted really easily. And so having things in a lot of different places makes it really hard to actually get all of the things documented that you need to get documented. So what we've created is an app that puts everything into one place so that you don't get distracted by going to different areas on your phone.
Right. It's simplified.
Simplified.
Right. And so this app was created to help people similar to your son, correct? And so tell me the history of your son, and then of course Sophia, your daughter, created this company, her brainchild, and then of course with lots of family support has gotten it this far.
Yeah.
So tell me first, how did you find out that you were a neurodivergent family?
We live with the alphabet at our house.
Yes.
So it's really funny because some of the things that we found, we didn't find out until, stages. So we always knew that Gabe was ADHD. It just was the way it was. But he is so intelligent that he masked so many other things throughout his school years. And so it wasn't until Tori, our youngest, was going from kindergarten into first grade that they flagged us and said, hey, there's a new bill that's been passed by the state of Texas, and we screen for possible dyslexia in kids between kindergarten and first grade, and we've screened Tori, and we think that there may be a chance that she's dyslexic, and so we want to do more testing. And so we did testing, and we found out that she has dyslexia along with some other challenges. And as I was learning about that, because the only thing I knew about dyslexia was you swap letters or whatever. And as a mom trying to support her children, it's like that's not good enough. How am I going to help her to be successful in school and all of that? And as I started learning what dyslexia was, which is, holy cow, so much more than just swapping letters. It impacts time. It impacts, space and the way you process the world around you. It's impacted by, sounds and everything else. It all impacts how you learn. And as I was learning all of these things to help Tori, I started recognizing challenges that we'd been having with Gabe all the way through elementary school and had never even realized were dyslexia, dysgraphia, which is a disconnect between your brain and your hand, and you can't get your thoughts out onto a piece of paper. When you add that to dyslexia, where you have trouble spelling and all of this, and ADHD, where there's so many thoughts in your brain that by the time you get a thought from your head to the piece of paper, you've had 6 other thoughts. This is disjointed thought because you've had 3 other thoughts interrupt while you're trying to write it down.
Wow.
It's just this whole mess of chaos going on. But as we were learning about that for Tori, we started recognizing what Gabe was going through. And so we had him tested and found out that, he has all of the disses and
The alphabet of, yes.
again, we have the alphabet
Yeah.
features. We're feature filled in our family. That's
Sure.
what we,
I like it.
call it. And so, but to see all these different challenges, and then to continue going through, we found out when Gabe was in 8th grade that he had autism as well, because of some other challenges that we were having, and we had him tested. And so then we're, learning a whole new language besides just trying to figure out how to help him be successful in school and everything. Now we're trying to figure out how to talk to him and really communicate on in a way that he will resonate with, because he looks at the world very black and white,
Yeah.
very
Sure.
pragmatic in what he does. So it's been a journey. Like I feel like I have a PhD in my kids, because
The amount of hours you've studied for this, basically.
to
Yeah.
figure out how to support them,
Yeah.
because the world is not set up for our
No.
special kids.
No, and they don't know. They're not prepared. They're not educated in how to deal with neurodiversity at all.
And
in most cases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because it's not a physical
Yeah.
challenge, and it's a spectrum. Like it is truly a spectrum. Every one of them. Like they talk about autism spectrum disorder, but ADHD is a spectrum, and
Yeah.
dyslexia is because Tori and Gabe don't manifest their challenges in the same way.
Yeah.
And so it's truly all a spectrum. And when you can't see it,
You
the
just don't.
world doesn't acknowledge it.
Yeah, and it's unkind.
It
to that
is.
as well. Wow, that's so. And then Sophia took this a step further. It just from family. You working. She had mentioned in a previous conversation on another episode. So I encourage y'all to find that episode. She had witnessed in high school how Gabe, just his interactions, because she had some overlap. They're only 2 years apart, and in high school,
Yeah.
she had some time with him and recognized that. So tell us the story from your perspective of her, the college challenge. She's at university, and she had the opportunity to present a project. And so walk me through how this was born.
Yeah. So there were two years where Sophie and Gabe overlapped. So his freshman year was her junior year.
Yeah.
And so, she got to see some of the challenges that he was experiencing, in the house. Again, even in your own house, you don't always recognize the challenges. And so there was a lot of friction between Sophie and Gabe growing up. And when she got into high school and they were overlapping, and she saw what Gabe was experiencing in school, and the interactions that he had, not just with students, but with teachers too, and administrators, like it's ugly sometimes.
Yeah.
She started to really recognize the challenges there, and it really started to pull on her heart. And we had been having conversations about, things that she would want to do in the future, and how she would, that she really wanted to do something that would positively impact kids like Gabe. And so when she went to school, we were talking about what she would do, and I really encouraged her to go the business route. I was like, go business, because anything that you do in life, you can always take what you learn in business and apply it to any aspect of what you try and do. And so after several conversations, she decided to take that route, and she went into college as a marketing management double major. And one of her electives that she chose was an entrepreneurial class. And she did it because we want to start a nonprofit. And so, we were like, we'll take the entrepreneurial class because that'll help in building a business. And one of the things that she had to do was a Shark Tank type project. And so she had to build out a business plan and, come up with something. And she had to do a 3-minute pitch. And you could do it by yourself, or you could do it with somebody else. They didn't have to be at university. And so we started talking about it. And, she was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, well, we want to do NeuroCanvas. And so let's try and figure out something that would benefit our kids, the target audience that we,
great. Yeah.
Want to focus on. And so we started looking at the challenges that we've been experiencing through school and everything. And, what can we do? How can we help? And so we started talking about it, and we were like, we need an app or something. There's got to be something out there. And we started looking, and there was there was nothing. Like, there's tons of great tools. There's tons of great productivity tools out there on the market, but nothing targeted specifically to neurodivergent minds that encompasses like everything that you would need to be successful as a middle schooler or high schooler or a college student in the classroom. And then even beyond, I mean, it doesn't stop. Like, your neurodivergence doesn't end when you graduate from high school,
Right.
or graduate from college. So, what does that look like in your adult life as, a business person or, a salesperson or whatever? What does that look like? And so we started looking at what tools you would need for that to be successful. And there's nothing out there that puts it all together. And so that's
Until
where
now.
NeuroLocker came from.
Stay with us. The Growing Your Business podcast will return right after this.
A woman in Austin was depositing a cashier's check at the bank, but she deposited it right into a storm drain. The frost banker found another way in. Time out! So he went into the hole, like a cave diver.
A real spelunker of the streets.
What about the check?
It's money in the bank.
Ka-ching!
Ka-chang.
Ready to amplify your brand's voice? At Blue Mike Studios, we transform your ideas into captivating podcasts and videos. Whether you're launching your own show or guest starring on ours, we've got you covered. From recording and editing to social media promotion. With state-of-the-art 4K video and crystal clear audio, your content will shine. We offer guest packages on our podcasts and offer segments from the show for you to share. Or let us help you build your own branded podcast with custom strategy, branding, and full production support. Visit BlueMikeStudios.com today and let your voice be heard. Please check our show notes for sponsorship links and additional details. Now, back to the Growing Your Business podcast with Buddy Broyles. You've taken it from there. And talk to me about the development process. I mean, how did you get it to where it is now?
We looked for, different companies that could work with us to build the app because neither of us have a computer science background.
Sure.
And so we looked for companies that could possibly help us to build it. And we interviewed several people and companies and found somebody that we really liked and connected with. And so we started working with them. And the first thing that they had us do was to storyboard it. They said, lay it out. We need to know exactly what you want before we ever start, coding it. And so, we drew in PowerPoint and stuff like that and gave them, decks of what we were wanting. And then they would come back and say, we'd ask us questions. And so we'd, dive deeper into what that looked like. And we built it out screen by screen before we ever started coding it.
Of course. And
then they built a no-code version of the app. And then now the coded version, and we're in beta testing with it. It feels like it's been forever. It's only been, I guess we started about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And then we actually started app development probably about a year ago.
Mm.
So it's taking a little bit longer than we would have hoped.
For sure. It's business.
But yeah.
Where'd you come up with the name NeuroLocker?
So we were trying to figure out how we could tie it all together.
Mm.
What were we trying to do? What did it mean? Something that would resonate and tie into what the app actually did. And obviously neuro, because the brain and all that we're doing with that. And then we thought about locker, because you put things into a locker and you keep it all together and it resonates with the school and stuff.
Yeah.
And so
that makes sense.
It just kind of came together.
I was curious. Tell me about the people that, the feedback that you've gotten, through all the testing and so on. What are you hearing?
So we're hearing, hurry up and get it finished because we need this. We're getting a lot of really great feedback. I've talked with teachers to try and understand, what would this look like in the classroom? What would be the pushback from the schools on, having something like this in the class, room. And there is pushback on, privacy rights and concerns and stuff like that. And so we're working through trying to figure out how we can manage that, because one of the main features within the app is an AI note taker.
Mhm.
And the purpose of that is because not everybody can take notes, and not everybody processes things the same way. They hear, they fidget, they look like they're not paying attention, but they can regurgitate back to you exactly what you said. But having that AI note taker that can record the class, provide you with a full transcript,
Yeah.
provide you with a summary of the transcript, and then pull from it action items from the transcript, and give you the opportunity to either, put something into your calendar. So you've got an assignment that's coming up and it's got a due date, and it pulls it up in that action item. And so from there, you can just click on that and put a little bit of information in, and it put it into your calendar. And so then it's there and you've done it immediately and you don't forget to do it. So, but the pushback from teachers on privacy in recording in a classroom is something that we have to look at, making sure that we communicate the fact that the AI that we're using is only for that transcription piece, and in the future to help with chunking large tasks, because that's a huge challenge for neurodivergence, is breaking down large tasks into smaller pieces so that you can do them. But the AI is not there to do the work. It's, it's a tool to support in the way they learn.
How can people help you? Who would you look to for, say, strategic partners in any capacity?
Sophie and I are bootstrapping this right now. And so obviously, funding so that we can continue development and continue going right now. It's all being done volunteer-wise. Mine and Sophie's. We have a friend who's been helping us with our website and some other stuff. And so, it's all bootstrapping in what we're doing right now. And so to continue going, we'll need funding to continue adding pieces, because my ultimate dream would be able to create a partnership with organizations like Instructure, which is the parent company of Canvas, which is in all the schools, Blackboard and Brightspace, to be able to create partnerships with them where we could license to them and get it into the software that's already in the school so that there's access for everybody. It's not limited. Because obviously we have to charge for what we're doing. I'd love to give it away, but AI is not free. Storage is not free. No. And the app stores are not actually free.
Right. Research, development, all those things cost money.
Yeah. And so, partnerships in figuring out how we can get into those places so that we can get it out there to the mass number of people. That's the real goal in this, is making this accessible so that we level the playing field for these kids in school, because no kid should go to school and feel stupid. And I can't tell you as a parent how heartbreaking it is to hear a teacher say that to you, that your kid's not smart enough. What kills you is when the teacher is stupid enough to say that in front of your child, because what they say matters and they break their spirit. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter how many times they hear you've done great or you're smart. All they hear is the person that told them that they're too stupid to matter, too stupid to be in that class. No kid should hear that. And no kid should hate going to school because class doesn't work for them. Yeah. I want to level the playing field for these kids so that they can go to school, so that they can figure out who they want to be, so that they can dream big dreams and live their best life. Like, that's what we've been fighting for the last 14 years for Gabe, is to help him achieve his best self, to graduate from high school, to get into college, to do what he wants to do. And there's families that don't know what their, what their rights are for their kids who are special. I want to help parents advocate for their kids. I want them to understand what their rights are. I want them to know where they can go and look and find the information. We were lucky enough to have friends in education and stuff who worked with special ed and stuff like that, who were able to tell us, you have rights, you have this, go look here, go look there, and connect us with the right people or the right tools to be able to advocate for our kids and teach our kids to advocate for themselves. I want to be able to share that information with other parents so that they know what their rights are and they know how to advocate for their kids and how to teach their kids to advocate for themselves.
Think of your younger self when you first understood that Gabe was different, neurodivergent. Your reaction to that, and then how you got to where you are now. What would you say to people that are just now learning?
First, give yourself grace because, as a parent, as we found out over time what Gabe's challenges were that we hadn't seen, there was a lot of mom guilt for not recognizing it, not realizing, for parent him in a way that didn't work for him because I didn't know. And so, have grace because our kids don't come with a manual. No. And neurodivergence is its own language and it's its own set of challenges. And the second thing that I would say to my younger self is you're not alone. Like there's other people out there who are going through this and you just haven't found them yet. So, look for people to give yourself that support because it's hard. It's really hard parenting in general is hard, but parenting to a kid with special needs, especially when they're not visible to the general world, is really difficult because people don't have a lot of grace and mercy with you if they don't recognize the challenges. And so you're constantly fighting.
Yeah. How's Gabe doing now?
Gabe is amazing. We graduated last year from high school, and he did the early college high school program. So we got a construction associate's and decided to go into welding. So now he's at community college working on an associate's in welding, and he is thriving. But it was a hard road. And
so NeuroLocker can, starting at what age, can start to begin to help people like Gabe and families?
So I think, if parents are using it early, elementary, they can probably start using it for some of the stuff. I think for kids themselves, probably middle school and definitely high school age, because it gives them the tools to be able to be independent, find that sense of independence. Gabe always calls me a Karen because I micromanage because his executive function skills aren't there. Even now we've found like making sure that his algebra is getting done this semester and stuff. And so we laugh about it. But I think, teaching kids early to use the tools, to give them the strategies, to help them to be independent, to give them the confidence to not feel different, to not feel less than in class is important. And so I would say, our hope is that we can figure out how to get this in as early as middle school for the kids to be able to start learning how to manage themselves.
Excellent. Well, for those who are listening or watching, links to all the different things you have going on, including the development of the app, the website, and so on, are in the show notes. So just scroll down there and get in contact with Jill.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's all there for you. Jill, thank you so much for what you've been through and supporting your daughter and creating this so others can benefit. It's got to feel rewarding as it continues.
It's exciting.
Yeah, that's great.
It's exciting.
Well, thanks for coming on the show today and sharing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This episode was sponsored by Russ Birch, commercial banker with Frost Bank, Plano, Texas. Thank you for joining us today on the Growing Your Business podcast. Please see the show notes for links to our sponsors, our social media, and to learn more about today's guest.